Welcome, Risers. It's that time once again for the Agent Rise podcast. I'm your co-host, Neil Mathweg, joined by TJ McGraw and Mindy Kesnick, and a very, very special guest in Katie Skeen. I am so fired up as we are in the middle of Breakthrough Week, and this is yet another one of our breakthrough stories, and you're in for a real treat here. Katie, an agent in Louisville, Kentucky, a brand new agent right out of the gate, started out with Agent Rise, and she started out developing her 3-pillar plan and following the 8 steps and building a plan that was congruent to her and one that she would stay consistent with. It took her about 18 months to break through, and in that breakthrough, there definitely were some challenges. One of them being Facebook ads, which was her chase pillar, which was really challenging at the time as it was in the middle of that squeeze in the market where buyers just weren't able to find properties and there just wasn't enough inventory, along with higher interest rates and many other challenges that were going on in the market. But she persevered, and the Facebook ads were something that didn't bear a lot of fruit in the beginning, and we look for that in the chase pillar. We want the chase pillar to be the rocket that takes your business and gets it going, because the sphere and the attraction take time. It takes time to build those relationships and to build that business. And so the chase pillar is meant to get the business going, and that was a challenge. But in all of that, she learned how to communicate. She learned better phone presence. She learned perseverance. She learned how to show homes and how to go after buyers and how to talk to people, right? And so she learned a lot of things from Facebook ads, and also I think there's more fruit to bear. There's plenty more that's going to come, because Katie follows up with everybody, and she's absolutely amazing at that. And another thing that I really admire about Katie, and you're going to hear this throughout the interview, is her ability to maintain relationships, love on people, take care of people. She truly, truly, truly cares about her business and her people and those that she gets to serve. And I hope that you hear that today, as that plays such a huge part in building a business that you love. And it really comes down to building raving fans that just continue to support your business, refer you, and that's what Katie has done, because she's loved on people. She's cared for people. She's taken amazing care for people, and she goes to bat for people, right? And so with that, that's all part of this and how you can build this and just get this momentum going, and that's what Katie has done. And another thing that I really want you to hear in today's interview is how Katie really got out of her own way. She really followed the steps. There was things that she was doing that were difficult and challenging, but she did them anyways, and she persevered, and she got out of her own way. And with this, we want your plan to be congruent, no doubt, but there's certain things that you're going to do that you might overthink, and you might get a little too romantic about it and make it a little bit too personal, and with that, you get in your own way, and you don't do things the right way, and you overthink things, and the results don't follow. And Katie didn't make that mistake. Katie listened and was very, very coachable, and took everything that we were teaching her and practiced it and worked it and made it her own and made it better, and this is all of the things that are contributing to her awesome breakthrough. So I could talk about Katie all day long, but let's bring TJ in, and here is the interview with TJ and Katie Skeen.
Welcome back, Risers. I'm excited for every time I get to be semi-host on the Agent Rise podcast, but I'm super excited today because this is really the first time that I've met Katie Skeen, and I've heard so much about her. And she's, I think you're kind of legendary, Katie, because you are the one that put the Agent Rise system, the Agent Rise plan, to the test. So I'm excited to talk about that. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to meet you as well. I feel like you're an Agent Rise legend as well, TJ. So I'm glad that we could finally meet here over this podcast. So
definitely, it should be fun. Well, I don't know if I'm legendary status yet, but I'm working on it.
All right.
Well, I guess let's just dive right in, because I think we got a lot to talk about. Let's start where I like to start with everybody is what did you do before real estate, and then kind of what got you into real estate?
When I first graduated from college, I worked in full-time ministry on Indiana University campus and then down at Florida State University. And that's actually where I met my husband. So we did that for 5 years. And then after we finished that, we came up here to Louisville, Kentucky about 12 years ago. And when I first got here, I worked at the University of Louisville in the development office. So I was doing fundraising for the College of Arts and Sciences. And not too long after I started that job, I got pregnant with my first child, Bryson. And so after he was born, I actually made a choice to stay home. And so I was a full-time stay-at-home mom for about 8 years. And I always thought when both my kids entered elementary school that I would get into real estate and be a realtor. Real estate is kind of part of my family. My dad was an attorney up in Columbus, Ohio, and he did a lot of real estate for his business. My brother is a full-time real estate investor over in St. Louis. My husband and I have been buying real estate and doing short-term rentals here in Louisville since 2016. So everybody in my family does real estate in one way or another. My aunt was a commercial broker, so we've got it running all through our family. And I just thought it would be a good fit with kind of my skills, my gifts, my interests. And so I thought once my youngest went to kindergarten, I was going to jump in. I didn't make it full-time until he was in first grade because unfortunately his kindergarten year, our school system was virtual the whole year. So I became a homeschool virtual teacher there for a minute, for about a year. And then once they were back in school, I finally got licensed, and that was 2 years ago. So.
All right. Yeah, that's quite a, it's almost like you were destined to be in real estate.
I had no other choice.
That's great. Yeah. I feel your pain with the stay at home, the virtual year that we all went through.
Yeah, for sure. It was a challenging year.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging. It was tough to be like, try to get all the stuff done that you need to get done, work in your business, and then, do that. So I can see why that kind of put a little pause on it, but
yes. So
fast forward, you got your license, and how are things going once you get your license? Was it what you thought it would be? Tell me about that, those first few months.
Back when I started in July of 2021, I kind of waited for the school year to get started, and then I was really going to get after it full time. I chose to go with a small boutique brokerage here in Louisville, Gatewood Properties of Kentucky. I am really good friends with Matt and Julie Gatewood. Matt is the broker, and so I didn't even really consider any other brokerages. Like Matt was the agent who we used to buy all of our investment properties. So I've admired his business and him as a person and a realtor and a broker for a long, long time. So it was never a question what brokerage I was going to be in. I just always thought I would go with Gatewood Properties. And then Matt provides coaching with Agent Rise for his agents. So as far as like, how did I start off? I just started off knowing right away, like I had talked with Matt many times, that he was like, you just got to follow Neil's plan. If you jump into boot camp and you follow Neil's plan, you can do this. And so, as soon as the kids went back to school in 2021, I started going through boot camp right away. We have every other week, our brokerage has a coaching call with Neil. So he was kind of there helping me along the way. And obviously Matt was a great resource to me as well, as far as like boots on the ground kind of business here in Louisville. And so I feel like I probably got started in the best environment that you could, really, because I started right away with Agent Rise.
Yeah, definitely. And I just recorded Matt's interview yesterday. Yeah. So he spoke about you. Neil speaks about you all the time. So it's almost like we don't even need to do this episode because everybody talks about you so much. No, it's good. Matt's a great guy. And I didn't ask him this though. So and this is just a curiosity question, and I think I have a point that I'll eventually get to, but so you don't actually foot the bill for Agent Rise coaching, right? Matt, does that, your broker does that?
Matt provides us, I don't know what all the right terms are, but like we're all in the Facebook group. And so I can access all of those videos in the hub and the boot camp. So when I first started, they weren't like actually in a boot camp session. So I just started watching through the videos. And then I think it was a month or two later that like the live boot camp started. So we can do that. And then, like I said, every other Thursday, we have an hour-long coaching call with Neil, and our broker is paying for that. So it's like a huge advantage, I think, that Matt provides for his agents, because honestly, I wouldn't have known how to start. Like when you become a realtor, you're like, oh, I like real estate and I like showing people houses and this will be fun. But how do you actually get leads? How do you start a business? How do you stay organized? I would have had no idea how to do that. So I'm a very systematic person. I love plans. And so to have a clear plan laid out for me, I was like, I got this. And I was really grateful for that. So yeah, Matt pays for it. And I mean, it's just an awesome advantage. And then I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months in, I decided that I wanted to do some personal coaching. So I also meet individually with Neil for 30 minutes on the alternating weeks from our Gatewood Properties coaching call. So that's something obviously I signed up for and pay for, but
cool. Yeah. And so I'm kind of, so the reason I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but you just reminded me of kind of an anomaly, maybe it is, where oftentimes when you get something for free, it's not, you don't put a lot of value on it as you would as if you were paying for it. So I think it's great. It speaks to your character that you saw an opportunity to learn and really get ahead of things, like cut the learning curve in half or even more so maybe. And you really embrace that training and the education that you got from Neil and Agent Rise. So I think it's pretty cool. I like to see that, because most of the time, if we offer stuff for free to agents, especially, it's like, okay, it's free, I'll check it out, but it's maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. There's not like this commitment when you're like actually writing a check. So I think that does speak to your character and like the self starter and the can do attitude. That's really important to have when you get into real estate, because Agent Rise is a great tool. And it's a great resource, and there's great stuff and great community. But when it comes right down to it, like, you have to do your own engagements, and you have to, choose your chase pillar and your attraction pillar, and you got to record the video. So there has to be an investment of sweat and time, and maybe not blood. I don't think there's any blood unless you get paper cuts.
I hope not.
Yep. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. And like, there's I have a lot of admiration for you and others like you that do dive in and know that it's going to be work.
Yeah.
And
thank you. I appreciate
take advantage of it. For sure. Yeah. And so did you find success right away, or did you have to like build on things? Like, how long did it take you before you really started seeing results?
Yeah. So it was definitely a journey, and the poor Gatewood Properties agents that attend our group coaching call saw me cry many, many times. There was a lot of discouragement for a long time. So, I mean, I actually remember the breakthrough week 2 years ago in September. That was the first time I ever listened to those podcasts. And I had gone on a road trip by myself. So I had all this time in the car. I was driving up to Indianapolis to meet a friend, and I listened to your breakthrough you were on, and Paige and Travis. Like, those are the ones that I really remember. So when I listened to Travis's story, the thing that they kept saying about Travis was that he was like the fastest agent ever to break through. And I'm a really competitive person, but I was also really inspired by all these stories. So I was like, well, if Travis in Oregon can do it, certainly Katie in Louisville can do it. So I was like, I'm going to try to follow the plan just like Travis did, because that's what Neil, kept talking about. And that's what his breakthrough story really highlighted. And so I was like, one of my strengths is hard work. So I was like, I'm going to work as hard as I can. So I was getting the pillars set up as fast as I could. The thing I remember about your story, TJ, was not to have shiny object syndrome. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Don't have shiny object syndrome. I was like, I'm going to pick pillars, and I'm just going to do this. And so that was kind of my mentality. And so obviously I sent my announcement letter out. I started my newsletter right away. I'm not great with technology, so I was using Canva for my newsletter. So that felt like that was a big hurdle to get over. I figured that out. I got my Facebook ads set up, and I got I don't know how this works, but somehow I got kicked off of Facebook. So I had to create a new account. I lost all my friends. Facebook hated me. But I pressed through that challenge and got the Facebook ads up and running. So it took me about 4 or 5 weeks to kind of get all that going. But once I did, I started just really trying to work on these Facebook ads. And I know, I heard you talk about that. I heard Travis talk about that. I heard Paige talk about that. I'm like, everybody's doing it. And it was kind of right after COVID. So I didn't think open houses were going to be a great fit. And then of course, I'm in a really small brokerage. So I wouldn't have 2 open house opportunities a week. That just wouldn't be an option. So I thought Facebook ads is the way to go. But I'll tell you a little fact about Facebook. So I started calling my Facebook leads in September of 2021, and I was making 20 phone calls a day to the Facebook leads. They were coming in. My first Facebook closing was this year in April. So that is like 20 months almost of waiting to have fruit from the Facebook ads. So to say I was frustrated about Facebook is an understatement. Like I was like, for 9 months, 5 days a week, I was calling 20 people a day, Facebook people, and seeing 0 results. So that's why I was crying on the calls all the time. Like it was really hard to keep persevering through that. And I didn't know what else to do. Like, what were my alternatives? I mean, I don't know exactly how Neil says this, but he's like, the only way you fail is if you quit. Right. And I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my career, whether that's 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, whatever it is, for the rest of my working life, I'm going to be a realtor. So I have to just keep going. Mm-hmm. And Neil kept encouraging me and Matt kept encouraging me, and I just kept sending the newsletters. And at first my third pillar for attraction was social media, which I also hate social media. I don't know if anyone else out there can relate, but it was free. So I was already spending money on the Facebook ads. I didn't have a lot of money to start. And so I thought social agent would be a good way to go with that. And I always think this is so funny, but if you look at my Instagram grid, you'll see a picture of my son Parker as a 6-month-old baby. And then the next picture that I posted, he's 8 years old. And so like my friend calls these the silent years. Yeah, I took an 8-year break from posting on social media, and now I'm a realtor, and all of a sudden it's like 3 posts a week, like clockwork, right on schedule every time. And you're seeing like that youngest son every week doing something different. So I like system. I like routine. I don't like social media, but I was like, well, I guess if this is what you got to do, then here's my kids, here's my business. I'll just do the best that I can. So that's how I started. Those were my 3 pillars. I would say it took me probably 4 to 8 weeks to kind of get those all up and running. And then I was just really working at it, and YouTube came later for me. So that's how I got started.
So I don't want to say it's typical of Facebook, but yeah, if you're listening out there and you're like, I'm going to do Facebook ads, and we may not have mentioned this earlier, but it's like 12 to 18 months is like a typical result to get a transaction out of that. And that's only because they're the top of the funnel. They're just in the dream phase. They're not ready yet, but if you keep going it, or now since you got your first Facebook transaction, are there more in the pipeline, or?
So I have a second one closing next Friday. That will be my second. And I have some others that are slowly coming along, but I'm glad you mentioned 12 to 18 months for the pipeline, because I think I listened to Travis's story 2 years ago, and he was like, he closed his first Facebook, I don't know, within months. And I was like, oh, okay, like we're going to do this. And Neil kind of called it the rocket booster or whatever. Like, this is what gets your business going. And I was like, my business is not going. Like 3 months came and not much is happening. 6 months came, not much is happening. 9 months came. Like, I was just like, this business is like still on the launch pad,
And you're like, Neil, Agent Rise does not work.
I mean, that like, So basically. But I think when Facebook, for the non-Travises out there, if Facebook takes 12 to 24 months to have that set as an expectation, I think is helpful. So
I won't tell you when my first Facebook lead was turned.
Well, like converted. The first week, I'm sure it's the first week.
It's just if you run into somebody that is ready to go, it's kind of chance. So and I did, and what I felt, I mean, this isn't about me, but I think what worked is it was during the COVID time or just after, And when I really focused on Facebook ads, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is my chase pillar. I've chosen, I'm not going to half it anymore. I'm going to go in full bore. And I started doing Zoom calls. I started scheduling Zoom calls. And that's what I think really clinched it for me for those first few deals that I got through, Facebook, once I really started to buckle down and focus on it. But everybody's results are different.
Yeah, for sure.
Travis, we should add that disclaimer, like Travis's results are not typical of,
I mean, seriously,
that disclaimer you see on, when people are promoting something, but
yeah.
So it was a struggle for you, and you pushed through. And was that wasn't your first deal though, right? You had deals coming from Sphere
I think in the first year, I think I had, I don't know, 5 or 6 closings or some maybe 4. I should have looked this up, but
you're fine.
2022, I think I had 5 or 6 closings, and all of them came from Sphere. So just people who were trying to support me, help me get my business up and running. So
and that is the for any new agent out there, like give your Sphere, like focus on your Sphere first and try to get, be helpful to your Sphere, because those are the people that know, like, and trust you, and they want to see you succeed. So it's kind of the low hanging fruit to repeat that. It's kind of almost a cliche right now, but it's true.
Yeah. And I think too, like, you get the newsletters going. So I'm very consistent and faithful with that. And another thing I did is after 3 months of being a realtor, like I saw all these people doing the pies, and I had one client. So I was like, cool, I'm going to deliver one client a pumpkin pie. But I ended up deciding to do bottles of wine. But what I decided to do is I was just going to identify 30 people out of my 100 on the newsletter list. And I was like, they're not my clients, but they're my friends. Anybody that had shown any kind of support or encouragement towards me. I did 30 pop buys 3 months after I became an agent. It was right in November. And I delivered these bottles of wine with basically like a thank you note. Like, hey, thank you so much for supporting me as a friend and as a realtor. I felt your support and encouragement, and I appreciate you. And so I was like, I don't have any clients to appreciate yet, but I'm just going to get in the routine of client appreciation. So for the whole first year, I was inviting my 3, 4, 5 clients, and then I was inviting that top 30 and reaching out to them and just trying to appreciate them as much as I could.
Yeah, that's very wise, I think, because even if you're not getting direct deals from those 30 people, you're still, like you said, you're going to act like you're an agent. Like, I'm an agent, so I'm going to just do the things that agents do, and this is how I can do it. So getting into it. And that's why I think, because I have a team and kind of the same deal with the Facebook ads, like I'm just not seeing any fruit. It's like, yeah, but think of what you're doing. You're practicing your phone presence. You're practicing how to speak to people and the repetition, getting in the habit of making the calls every day. So you're building a business, and it starts from the ground up. And
for sure.
Yeah. So that's pretty commendable, because I didn't do that. And I think if I had done that, and if most agents do that, I think you would see your Sphere starting to bring you deals and recommend you a lot sooner, down in your career. So that's great. Fantastic idea for sure. So if you're listening out there, take that nugget and go. If you're brand new, just start pouring love into your top 30 Sphere.
Yeah. Appreciate them until they become your clients, and then keep appreciating them after that.
Perfect. And it is all about relationships. So if you focus on relationships and not this is hard to say when you don't have any money coming in, but focus on relationships, not the transaction. Focus on taking care of people, then the transactions will come after that. It's just like it's almost magic the way that works, for sure. So what does your business look like today?
Yeah. So for me, I think the breakthrough really came at the beginning of this year, 2023. January is usually slower, but I just could see that I had things in the works. I had more activity happening. I had people in the pipeline. So my goal has always been to sell 12 houses. Like, I'm still very much a mom. I mean, I am fully dedicated to my real estate business. I'm full time, but I thought if I can sell 12 houses a year, be such a blessing to my family. And I mean, by the end of next week, I'll have closed 17. So I already blew my goal out of the water. I'm very thankful for that. So this calendar year has really exploded for me. And, it's interesting. I started my YouTube channel in June of 2022. And of course, like system routine, if you watch my first video, it's embarrassing. I'm like wearing so much makeup. I'm a very natural kind of person. So I'm not the person in that video, and I'm not looking at the screen at all. So it's just like, and I'm like really dressed up in that video. I'm like, who is that person? So I forgot about that after a few weeks. And I just like, I was basically into athleisure before it was cool. So I've got a closing today. So I'm a little elevated today, but I was like, I'm just going to be me. Like if I am wearing my athleisure, that's what I'm wearing on the YouTube video. Like, this is who I am. This is what I look like when I show up. This is me. Mm-hmm. So I try to just be as natural as I could. And I think when you start YouTube, you have to be okay with the first couple videos being awkward and not very good. But everybody has to have those in order to get to the videos that are more natural and, better. So that I just was like one video a week all summer long. I really worked towards that. I think I was pretty consistent with it, 3 or 4 videos a month for a long, I don't know, 9 months consistently, just really getting that built up. And so that started in June of last year. And in December, one of my videos that I had filmed months ago, just like for whatever reason, really took off, and it just exploded my YouTube channel. So that was really exciting. And, people are like, what are the results from YouTube? I think that's really important for people to understand, because I think a lot of times they say, oh, Katie's YouTube channel is doing great, which I think it is doing great. So this year in 2023, it took about 6 months for this to really get going. But I've had 2 closings from YouTube, and I've gotten 2 referrals from YouTube, because the people that I helped move, I referred them to agents out of state who sold their houses where they were. So I'm always trying to do that, but it's like, oh gosh, 2 closings and 2 referrals. Is that really that much? But in Louisville, Kentucky, our price point's very low, but that's been $22,000 worth of business for me this year. And so that's a big chunk of my of what I'm going to make this year was coming from YouTube, because the leads that have been coming in from YouTube are a lot more qualified and at a higher price point than the people that I was interacting with from Facebook. And then a lot of my sphere is first-time home buyers. It could be people moving up or people downsizing, but they're at like a little bit of a lower price point too. So some of my biggest closings from the year have come from YouTube, and that's been really exciting. So I think, YouTube kind of came together for me, and it took me, I think it was like 8 or 9 months to get to my first YouTube closing from when I started. But for Facebook, it took me 20 months to get to my first closing. So they were much more down the funnel. And that's something that I recognized and realized as well. And then my sphere, Neil was like, 18 months of sending the newsletter is when your sphere is really going to come together. And that is tested, tried, and true in my experience. I sent 18 newsletters. And then, this year, like almost all of the rest of the business has come from sphere. And both listings and buyers, some people selling and then buying, like I get both, transactions from that. And so the newsletter and the sphere has really come together and clicked for me this year. People referring people to me, past clients referring people to me. So it really started to come together at 18 months, which was in January of this year. And it's just been a really steady stream pretty much for this entire year. So,
yeah. So, and it's tough there's a lot there. I had so many questions I want to ask now after hearing all that. It's awesome. Congratulations on the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
And I know it was all hard work to get it to where it is. So I have this question for you. Waiting the 18 months and the 20 months and the 9 months for each of your pillars to start really bearing fruit. Like, did you ever lose hope, or did you always kind of see that it would work and would come together?
It was really hard for me to believe. And I think with Neil, he's always like, your breakthrough's right around the corner. And I'm like, is it right around the corner? Like, you're my coach. You're supposed to say that, like, do you really mean that? Do you just say this to everybody?
Yeah. It's like, when Neil, the corner is like 3 miles down the road though.
Yeah. You have to run a marathon before you get right around the corner. Yeah. Exactly. So, no, there was a lot of discouragement, and there was a lot of, breakdowns. Like, the breakdown comes before the breakthrough. I had like 50 breakdowns before the breakthrough came. And I don't know why I kept going. The only way you fail is if you quit. And so I was like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And I will say, last summer, I turned the Facebook ads off. Like, I was like, I've had enough of this, and my kids are going to be home this summer, and I'm just going to have a great summer with my kids. And that's what I did last year. And I have no regrets about that. And I turned the Facebook ads off, and I started paying for the video editing at that time for YouTube. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And I think if I knew what I know now, I think I would have maybe tried to just start YouTube a little bit sooner. But it's like you said, all of that time on Facebook was all practice, getting me ready. I think like my phone presence probably wasn't very good. I think if I could have been in person at open houses, maybe I would have broke through faster, but that just wasn't an option because of my context and my situation. So I think it was really good training for me. And I also kept thinking about the shiny object thing. I was like, switching doesn't do anything. Like, it just prolongs before you break through. Like, I was really trying to focus in on the wisdom of the people, but I was really discouraged. And I wish I could tell you that I'm free from like what others think or defining who I am based on my performance and what I do, but I still struggle with that, just like everybody else does in varying capacities. And so I was like, why can't I do this? Mm-hmm. Like, what is wrong with me? But I did have belief and hope that I thought I would be good at this job. There's no other job I really wanted to do. So I just kept going. And Neil kept encouraging me, and Matt, my broker, kept encouraging me. My husband kept encouraging me, so there was no other option really.
And you mentioned like, what other people think, and you kind of alluded to like the comparison game and all that. Most people that come into real estate, they see agents that are having success, and they're all over Facebook and all over social media that, they're closing, and they're congratulations, under contract and all this stuff. And you're like, oh wow, how come this agent in my market can get all these closings and all these deals, and here I am like grinding it out and not able to do anything. And then there's that agent that gets their license, and then they have like 5 deals in the first 2 months, and you're like, I hate that agent. Not really, but it's like, that's an exception. That is a complete rarity. Like that rarely ever happens, where you just get your license and you start, unless you can't, I don't want to say you luck out, but if you have a sphere and a lot of your sphere is like ready to make a real estate move, then that's where those come from. But I guarantee, though, there's a dip. Like, there's not the learning curve. And I'm sure if we went and looked, I don't have any scientific proof or data to back this up. It's kind of a hunch of mine just from speaking to agents, that those agents that have success right away, their business is a roller coaster where they don't know where their next deal is coming from. And it's a stressful roller coaster up and down. And they may be making themselves sick out of worry over it. Where a business like yours, when you've taken the time to build the skills, put in the work, grind it out, and now you're seeing success because of all that work, I guarantee that you're not going to have the roller coaster like other agents have, because you know how to build a pipeline. You understand what it means to have engagements and follow up. And what YouTube has done for you. I mean, you have you've built a business. I assume you if you don't love it yet, you're pretty close to loving your business, right? Building a business you love.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no.
Love, hate.
Yeah, because I'm really thankful. And I feel like all the success that came this year is an evidence of God's grace in my life. So I'm very grateful for that. But I also think it's, it's God's grace. And then like we do our part too. And so I'm proud because I feel like I worked really hard to get to this place. But it accelerated this year so much faster than I was anticipating. And so, I mean, once I hit 7 transactions under contract, I was like, oh, this is really hard. This is a lot to keep track of. And I'm a late transaction coordinator adopter. So I've been living for like 4 or 5 months. I kept being like, oh, it's going to go back down. And so I would like close a few and it would get down to 5. And then I would get somebody else under contract. And then like I've been at 4 to 7 for like 6 months. And that's overwhelming. Like,
that's awesome.
I don't know how other people feel about it, but I'm like, I'm drowning. So I've had to get some other systems put into place. Mm-hmm. I just like signed the dotted line, so to speak. I have the whole system set up with new transaction coordinator. So I'm just waiting for that for my next deal to come so that I can experience what life is like with a really great transaction coordinator. So, I'm getting other people to help. I just met with a person yesterday who's totally taking over my newsletter. So I do love the business, but it exploded so fast that I was like, oh gosh, this is when you have one transaction going, you can keep all the details straight in your mind. And I had done the systems, like I had followed the boot camp and done the plan, but you just really nothing prepares you from going 0 to 100 miles an hour. Like, you know what I mean? I had basically been doing not nothing, but I hadn't had a lot of business for the whole 18 months. So, and one thing I wanted to say too, this is about newsletters. This is a side note. I have to say this because I think this is so great. If agents are like, oh, they don't like the newsletter or whatever. I don't know if I like the newsletter. I don't really care. It's like Neil says, if they throw it in the trash can, it doesn't matter. They're just getting like a piece. They're just getting a touch from you every month, reminding them that they are that you're a realtor. I had someone come up to me at church sometime this year who I've never had a real estate conversation with ever. And he was like, I'm like, hey, we're making small talk or whatever. And he said, hey, I just wanted to tell you, thanks so much for sending your newsletter to us. I've really noticed how consistent you are. And I really can tell you're taking your business seriously. And I wanted to be like, can you put that in writing for me as like a testimony for Agent Rise? Because those are all the things that Neil says about the newsletter. Yeah. But it was it's having an impact on this couple that I've never even had a real estate conversation with. That he noticed the consistency. He noticed I was taking my business seriously. He's reminded that I'm a realtor. So I just felt, I don't know, to me, that's all the props to Neil.
Yeah. And when he's ready to make a move, or if he knows somebody to make a move, you are going to be the agent that he contacts or refers for sure.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. I went through a period early on where I was like, when things like that would happen to me, I'd be like, man, Neil was right. Like I wanted to fight. I wanted to fight. Like, no, that's not the way you do it, Neil. But yeah, he was right. So right. Just another proof story there. But yeah. And that's the power of Agent Rise. It's not a magic bullet. It's not take a pill and you grow huge, you grow big, and that's it. It's a plan that is devised really by you, just within the parameters of the guidelines of the pillars and the steps. And it is designed so that you have a lasting business. I mean, it takes a little while to build the foundation of a house. It takes a while for the concrete to set, or, the mortar to set in between the cinder blocks. So building the foundation is what takes the most time and effort, I think. And now, how cool is it that you are like hiring other people, and now you're this grown up contributing to the health of society. I mean, that's kind of deep to think about it, but now you're an employer. You know what I mean? You're helping other people provide for their families, and it's just going to grow from there. As soon as you get that, like who, not how mentality of, I can't do this all on my own. There's a cap of my emotional bandwidth and my physical ability. like, let's get a transaction coordinator in here, which I'm so glad you did that. That's like more agents just need to rip the Band-Aid off on that one and just get a transaction coordinator. Your business will never be the same in a good way. And like delegating your newsletter, like those are really huge things. And now you can just focus more and more on like the really fun stuff in your business, which is helping people and talking to people and building those relationships. So it's pretty cool. I think you have definitely proven Agent Rise to be a good program, a good coaching program. Yeah. And if you work it, you can definitely be successful with it.
Yeah,
so
I definitely agree with that. And I think too, I don't know why I just kept going. I really don't. But I think like it just really, I latched on to like shiny object syndrome doesn't work really early on. And I'm grateful for that I learned that 2 years ago from your story, because people, like I see other friends who are agents in other brokerages, and I even see within our own brokerage where people are just like switching tracks all the time and, getting on a new path. And I'm like, do one thing for 18 to 24 months, and then we'll decide whether or not it's working. Like it's just, and I'm almost like, get permission from Neil to switch before you do.
It's funny you say that. I did that. I'm like, Neil, I'm going to ask you for permission before I start something new, before I pay for something frivolous. Right. So I did that I still do it occasionally, but for at least a year, I would be like, Neil, I would send him a Facebook message, even like, Neil, I'm thinking about buying this. He's like, don't do it. Shiny objects. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's like what he always says is that there's lots of pathways that will work if you're consistent over time, but like consistency is the most important thing, and clarity, simplify, then amplify, all of these things, I think, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I'm not paralyzed by that. Just watch my first YouTube video and you'll know I'm not paralyzed by that. I'm just like, just start doing it and you'll get better as you go. And that's been my mentality. So
awesome. So where do you think you'd be without Agent Rise?
As far as being a realtor, I don't think I would have a business. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today. I see other agents who started around the same time as me, who haven't been in Agent Rise or aren't following the plan consistently, and they're not where I am. So that's just, I think I wouldn't have a thriving business if it weren't for Agent Rise. And I really mean that, not just because I'm on Breakthrough Week and I'm supposed to say that, but I really mean that. Like, I don't know how I would have, thank you. I don't know how I would have done this without this clear plan, because I'm not, people talk about being a content creator or people are creative. That's not really my strength. So I don't think that wouldn't have been in my wheelhouse to figure out how to do it. I'm a lot better at following a plan and being consistent. So I was like, oh, you have a plan that you say works, and this is what my broker's telling me is going to work. Let's do this. I think it just took longer than I was expecting. Yeah. So I was expecting 6 to 12 months, and it was definitely 18 months for me. So
yeah. And it's different for everybody. And I think the point is just stick to it. Like, don't stop 3 feet from gold is right. I think the main theme I'm hearing from you for sure.
Yes.
So I got 2 more questions for you, and then and I'll let you get back to your busy business.
Yeah.
The first one is, and I've been asking everybody this, is kind of on a whim. What book are you reading or listening to right now, or what are you feeding your mind?
Okay. So, confession, I'm not much of a reader, but I have started listening to books, and the 2 that I'm listening to right now, one of them actually is the Beth Moore autobiography. If anyone knows, she's like a Christian female author and teacher. So I've been listening to her autobiography. And then the other one is, I'm not even going to get the title right, but you're going to know what it is. 10X is better than 2X. Is that what it's called?
10X is easier than 2X.
10X is easier than 2X. That's the other one that Neil was like, you have to listen to this, because Neil's like, you're going to sell 50 houses a year and we have to get ready. And I'm like, what? Yep. So
Yeah,
Um,
I'm going to say it out loud on the podcast because the Gap and the Gain is a book that
yeah.
we love in Agent Rise. Be Your Future Self Now is a book that I love. 10x is easier than 2x is an awesome book, and Who Not How is an awesome book, and they're all by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and in collaboration with Dan Sullivan. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it now, and I'm not stealing your thunder at all, but I think that Agent Rise at a summit within the next few years, we need to get Dr. Benjamin Hardy to speak to the Agent Rise community because we're certainly selling a lot of his books for sure.
Yeah. Put it out there.
Yeah,
We got it coming. And I
and
listened to
speak
the
that
Gap
into
in the
existence.
Game. Yeah, I listened to the Gap in the Game last year, and actually, my husband ended up listening to it. He works at a church, is in leadership, and manages other staff people at the church. He made them all read it. So
Mm-hmm.
the stream is continuing of the Gap and the Gain, and I think that's a really important book as well. So
Yeah, most definitely. Some of the favorites. All right, and then now the very last question. We're gonna take a nugget of wisdom from Katie and pass it along through the wherever you listen to podcasts. What advice would you give to any new or stuck agent out there that's kind of feeling a little bit lost?
I would say pick your pillars and stick with your plan for at least 18 to 24 months. That's it. Just be consistent. Just keep going. Don't give up.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this has been great. I've been looking forward to talking to you because Neil. It's funny when Neil and I are kind of speaking candidly. He's like, Katie was really put the program to the test. He was like,
Yeah.
she said if she didn't succeed, then it doesn't work. So he's like, He's like, that was a lot of pressure. So I'm happy that it worked, and I'm
I
happy.
didn't know I was putting so much pressure on Neil, but I'm glad that it really is. It's a proven pathway for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. And I love it. It's really cool to see your success, and, you wanted to close 12 houses in a year and you're blowing that out of the water. I mean, you're definitely going to be up over 50 soon, probably maybe this year, maybe next year. And then the sky's the limit.
Let's calm down. We'll see.
Yep. Because you keep delegating, you keep finding other people to help, and then that makes it easier. So, well, thank you so much, Katie. This has been super awesome, and I'm looking forward to watching where you go from here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. It was nice to meet you, and little did you know you were inspiring me 2 years ago. So appreciate you and everything you do for the Agent Rise community. So.
Oh, thank you. I'm embarrassed now. I'm blushing. All right, let's take it back to the Agent Rise studio with Neil. Get his take on coaching Katie. What a great interview. Katie's story of just perseverance through being discouraged and frustrated it's just so powerful. So Neil, you were there, you coached her through it all. Give us your side of it. What did you see in Katie?
One of the awesome things about Katie is, she is such a competitor. She is such a fighter, and she is one of the most coachable persons I've ever coached, because she literally will do everything you tell her to do, and she does it right, and she works at it. And I know it was really frustrating not getting the business from the Facebook ads, and putting all of that effort in, and seeing her go through the grind. And it was in a tough season. It was you had the squeeze going on in the market, you had buyers just not being able to find properties, and you had higher interest rates happening all at the same time. And so a lot of buyers throwing in the towel, and it was rough, and that was a season where it was rough on a lot of agents, and most agents would throw in the towel. And I just kept seeing the fight in Katie. And you can in a way coach that, because you got to keep them going, but that fight is within, and that is all on her. And so it's an honor to work with her, because you can see the struggle, you can coach them through the struggle, but they got to go do the work. And we had some tough calls along the way. There was moments of wanting to give up and throw in the towel. I would say stuff like, the only way it's not going to work is if you quit. And she just kept believing in that and kept going. And so it's exciting to see her break through. I saw it coming. I just knew that it was just a matter of time to see her break through. I didn't know if it was going to happen. I just was when was it going to happen. And so to see her break through, and now I see her business going. She's going to be selling over 50 houses a year. She's built that kind of business. She's got such a strong 3 pillars at the top. She's got such clear focus on what she needs to do and what she doesn't need to do. She does not have shiny object syndrome. I mean, and then she works according to her 3 goals over her 12 weeks. She uses her day blocker. I mean, she just does it all. She keeps track of all of her engagements. She's one of the most committed in all of Agent Rise on her riser reports, which is a weekly report that members fill out. She's committed to that. She really is a true inspiration to a lot of members in Agent Rise because she really is committed, and that level of commitment just leads to breakthroughs. And so, again, it's just such an honor to work with her.
Yeah, she's absolutely committed. And my favorite part about her story, and we said it before, is that she put Agent Rise system to the test. It's like, if this doesn't work, because she did it exactly to a T. Maybe the only person ever to do it exactly to a T. There's no wavering from the program, and she proved that it works. So she's our great control on the experiment.
I'll never forget.
It definitely works.
Yeah, I'll never forget when she heard Travis Modison's breakthrough story, and I said, I've never seen anybody do it as fast as Travis. Like he went through all 8 steps and crafted everything almost in a 12-week period. I mean, just really went after it, and you could tell that fired her up. You could tell I'm gonna beat that, and she not only has followed all the steps quickly and done all of it right, but she's done it well, and she's been committed to it. And I remember there was one time she was in this breakdown moment where it was like, if this doesn't work, man, Agent Rise, I don't know about Agent Rise.
It's a farce.
Was gonna put it to this test, yeah. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I believe in it. Let's go. So,
it definitely. Travis had his breakthrough just before the market got super crazy. So his success with Facebook ads, and first of all, everybody's story is completely different. They're on opposite sides of the country in completely different markets. So if you're out there listening, and I'm glad this kind of came up, if you're out there listening and you're comparing yourself to these agents that we're talking to and the breakthroughs that they're having, one, you absolutely can have a breakthrough too, for sure. And don't measure yourself up against their success and what they've done, because everybody's in a different place, everybody's in a different market, and everybody has a different mindset also. So just, it's run your own race, so to speak, or hike your own hike.
Yeah, and that is so true. You got to stay focused on your own race, and that's what Agent Rise helps agents do. Is you get a clear plan that's congruent to you. That means that it feels right. It means that it's your plan. It's going to work in your market. It's what you're excited about. Because if your plan doesn't feel right, you won't stay consistent with it. And that's the last part of all of it, is clear plan that's congruent to you, and then you stay consistent with it. And if it's not congruent to you, you won't stay consistent with it. And that's what we're all about here at Agent Rise, is building a business that you love. And so we want to help you find that what feels right, what is congruent to you, because then you'll stay consistent. Now, if you're listening to this episode here and you're like, I got to get going. I got to develop a clear plan that's congruent to me, and one that I got to get consistent with. And I need a roadmap. I need a guide. I need help with this. You really should consider joining us here at Agent Rise. And now is an absolute perfect time to do it, because starting on September 21st, we are starting the next round of Boot Camp Live. And Boot Camp is our flagship program here at Agent Rise. It's going to walk you through all of the steps, the 8 steps to building your business, using the Agent Rise steps and using the Agent Rise 3-pillar plan. And then it's going to also give you everything that you're going to need to be able to run your business, to work on your business. And then it's also going to help you develop the clear plan that's congruent to you. You can hear in this episode where you can follow a plan. You can see the roadmap and the plan that is congruent to you, and therefore you'll stay consistent with it. So again, you want to have a clear plan that's congruent to you and one you stay consistent with. And we do all of that in boot camp. So now, Mindy, tell us, how does one get signed up? How does one join Agent Rise? And how does one get started with boot camp?
It's easy. All you need to do is go to agentrisecoaching.com and book a discovery call, and we will help you on your journey to your breakthrough. And now is the very best time to join Agent Rise because Boot Camp Live is starting on September 21st. You can always join Agent Rise, but if you want to be part of the live recording starting on September 21st, head over to agentrisecoaching.com and get that discovery call booked. We can't wait to see you there.
And that's right, Mindy. We want to welcome you to the Agent Rise community, and boot camp is one of the best ways to do that. So again, all you got to do is book your discovery call, go to agentrisecoaching.com, and let's get started today. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a great day. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.